When we imagine the origin of the Druids, one imagines ancient Celtic mystics walking in white robes and communing with nature in ancient Ireland. Well, the truth is a whole lot stranger than that. A lot stranger. This is the story of how the Druids actually began, as it has been shared with me, and as I experienced it myself in another life. The Druid religion is one of the purest religions on earth, in regards to how accurate it is today to the original teachings. I received these messages from past life regressions with the assistance of Druidia. Druidia is how I call the first Druid master, as she has asked that her true name not be included. This is because Druidia said that she does not want her name attached to the spirituality as a goddess, as it has been in other religions, including Christianity as Mother Mary, and Hinduism as Lord Shiva. She wants the spirituality to speak for itself. Druidia is also a word the ancients used for a female druid. Druidia says that it was during her previous lifetime as Isis in ancient Egypt that she studied the knowledge that would eventually lead to the Druid path. In addition, she has said that the Druid religion came from many different sources, including Hathor, Christ, Lakshmi, and Saint Germain. This is the story of how the Druids began. Back in 2800 BC, I was born into a small but special clan. This was just after the beginning of the Kali Yuga, when the youngest of the human souls first walked the earth. This clan gathered in a remote forested area in Scotland for the purpose of the creation and spread of a new earth-based spirituality. Our clan was made up of a variety of wise and ancient starseeds from a variety of planets. I was a much younger Lemurian Earth human. Many of the students we were going to be teaching were of this newest soul group, and it was only their first or second lifetime. This is one of the reasons Druidia chose me to be her disciple, because I was closer in age to the new students of the Kali Yuga. On a soul level, they could better relate to me. For those of you wondering who are the souls of the Kali Yuga are the third and final soul group of the human race. The first two soul groups are the Lemurians and the Atlanteans. For more information about this, see the video Secrets of Ancient India and the Mahabharata on this channel. When I was born, Druidia was the chief of the clan. When I was a young child, she first approached me and invited me to be her disciple. I asked her what she was going to teach me.
I'm going to teach you about the animals in the forest, and the mountains, and the seas, and magic, and wonders of the universe. When you're a little older.
Our tribe was under the protection and tutelage of the Sasquatch. I saw myself as a child being lifted up in the arms of a Sasquatch who let me crawl around on his shoulders. Later, The Sasquatch taught me knowledge, like how to connect psychically with animals and how to sense danger by using my aura. The Sasquatch teachings were a part of the Druid spirituality, and much of their wisdom was included in its teachings. At times, they provided me protection from the great dangers in the land in those days. In one of my past life memories, a Sasquatch appeared when I was being attacked and actually carried me out of danger. One day, we walked out into the forest for a lesson. Druidia began spinning in a circle and raised her arms. I saw a whirlwind coming from her hands, going up into the sky. Moments later, a hawk landed on her hand. She told me that animals have much to teach us, and she has been communicating with them and has learned their mind. Then she raised her hand again, and an eagle landed on the other one. She said that eagle has much to teach us as well. All animals have a form of spirituality to teach us. Suddenly, a wolf ran up and began to nuzzle her. She said that Brother Wolf has much to teach us, and this one wants to come live with her in the town. But she is telling him to just come visit her when she's in the forest. Then she told me that she sees a time when Wolf would be working very closely with humans and teaching them about love and devotion. There was a time when I took a journey with Druidia up to the top of a mountain, where we encountered spaceships. We went down into an underground base and walked through a subterranean tunnel. Deep inside the base, we encountered a group of star nations, including the Pleiadians and the Ponti. I spoke to one of the Pleiadians, who told me they wanted us to teach the newest and youngest souls of the Kali Yuga, who have no notion of spirituality, to help them evolve. They were going to be offering us as much help as they could, offering us some protection. After much study, we took a journey to meet with our new students for the first time. These were the brand new souls of the Kali Yuga. At first, they were very skittish and aggressive, and we thought they were going to start a fight. As we were observing them the first time, I said to Druidia, "We have to teach these people?" We had some assistance from the Pleiadians and the Ponti, who had spaceships cloaked above our heads. They were helping by beaming calming energies at them. It took 2 visits to get one of them to trust us enough to take us into their village. They lived in a primitive village of small huts. When we got there, everyone panicked, and some grabbed their clubs and other weapons. Many looked as if they were going to attack us. Then Druidia raised her arms up in the sky, and an incredible magical light shot out of her. She spoke in a loud and commanding voice, saying words I did not know, and chanting loudly in a powerful light language. It was exactly like watching a great wizard or sorceress showing off their skills in some small medieval village. Some ran away, but others came towards her in great respect. Kids knelt at her feet and touched her, wondering if she was real. This tribe had a very limited language, which we did not know. So later that afternoon, I sat before a fire and taught them a bit of our language. The original Druid teachings were done with sign language and gestures, until a few of our first new pupils learned enough Lemurian for a conversation. Over the months and years to follow, myself and many from our tribe taught Lemurian to all the local tribes around us. We spoke Lemurian, which was the language of Lemuria. We spoke this language because the Lemurian people were our clan's distant ancestors. The knowledge of the Druids was entirely taught in Lemurian. Those who learned this language passed it on to their children and their children's children. The language changed over time, eventually morphing into the Gaelic language. Gaelic was based upon Lemurian, and it is the closest of the current Earth languages to Lemurian. I hear it is very similar. When I first became Druidia's disciple, she said to me, "I would like for you to learn how to write. We are going to be writing a book together." I asked what the book would be about. She said we would be creating a spirituality for the future, for the young ones. A spirituality that is in line with who they are and their limited abilities. Over the years I worked with her, we worked steadily on this book. This book was to be a handbook for Druid spirituality, designed to be the first entirely earth-based spiritual teaching. At the time, there was no paper available, but she managed to get me paper from her friends in the Star Nations. The book we wrote does not currently exist in our civilization, because the Druid way was to be entirely taught orally. However, I'm told this book does still exist, and someday it will become available for all to read who want to. The book is called The Druid Manifesto. After I finished writing, I gave the book to Druidia. That was the last I ever heard of it, until now. On a dark night, a short time later, everything erupted in chaos. We were being attacked. We struggled to fight them off with the primitive weapons we had available. Clubs and sharp spears. I saw a spaceship above our heads shooting the people with some sort of technology that stunned them. Eventually, with the help of the Star Nations, we managed to fight them off. We had a clan meeting the following day. Our reports said that one of the neighboring clans of the tribe we had been communicating with became jealous that we had spoken to their neighbors, and they attacked us out of spite, and to gain control of whatever we were giving them. Now that we had begun to show ourselves, we were no longer hidden, and would have to create some defenses. I asked if the Star Nations could give us weapons. Druidia said they couldn't, but they would be helping to protect us. Sometime later, we visited the tribe which attacked us. Druidia and I approached alone and entered their village. They began to panic and immediately got aggressive and picked up some weapons. But Druidia raised her hands again and did the same magic as before and said powerful words in light language. They put down their weapons in astonishment and began to show her great admiration. Earlier bad feelings were forgotten. I continued studying the lessons of Druidia. She told me that she and I had known each other in a different lifetime. Long ago in a wonderful land called Mu, which was much different than this place. I was amazed to hear this news, as I could not remember it. And then she said, "And now we find ourselves here." She said that the soul is eternal and we lead many lifetimes. She said that the people we had come to teach would not be remembering their past lifetimes, just as I could not now remember my past lifetime. She said reincarnation is a law of the universe. A couple years later, I attended a gathering of some of the local clans. There were several people there. I gave a speech in Lemurian to the first of these new souls to learn that language. I told them that because they are the first to learn our language, they will be the first to get the opportunity to learn the Druid spirituality. One of them said, "Why?" I explained that it would help them to become better humans and to learn secrets that would help them in their journey into higher states of consciousness. Then I asked who was interested in learning. At first there was silence, and then someone shouted, "I will!" Then a few more people shouted that they wanted to learn. It had a snowballing effect. Soon, we had a small group of people who were ready to learn the secrets of the Druids. Others did not want to learn, and they left and walked off. A few years later, I was walking with Druidia. She was old now, and told me that her time in this body was soon to come to an end. I had replaced her as chief of our clan, as she had stepped down already. After she died, she wanted me to continue her work in the teaching of the Druid way. She asked me not to use her name, but just to present the teachings as they are. A few days later, I stood before the first group of Druid students. I was talking to them in the forest, sharing things I had learned. I said that dirt was healing, that it was alive, and had the ability to take your pain away and to provide grounding. If you ever get hurt or sick, dirt is your friend. I said that trees grow in dirt and are connected to it and can be your friends or teachers or protectors or guides. Trees have wisdom and are powerful. They are extensions of Gaia. I encouraged them to learn all about trees. After connecting with trees, animals will become less afraid and will approach closer, offering the opportunity for closer study. I told them that animals were also important to connect with. All animals carry medicine or wisdom, and all have things to teach you. Most of those gathered in this group eventually became Druids, and they passed the wisdom on to the later generations. And thus, the Druid spirituality eventually spread throughout all of Europe. Druidia, myself, and the entire clan all worked with these new students for many years, as well as teaching our own children the Druid path. We told them that the teachings were to be entirely oral, and no written records were to be kept. That was to be a part of the Druid path. The original pupils from our neighboring tribes who became full Druids were a total of 8 people. Others learned much, but never reached full Druid consciousness. Those 8 students of the path, along with many of our tribe's children, spread the Druid path throughout the land, generation by generation, until it finally covered all of Europe in its peak. Druidism spread from Scotland to Ireland, and eventually throughout all of Europe. By the time the Romans first spoke about them in historical records, the Druids had been spiritual leaders and healers for many people throughout Europe for over 2,000 years. Many cultures have received the same Druidic knowledge in different ways. The Native Americans and other indigenous peoples were taught the same path through different teachers. Druidism has also spread throughout Africa. The one who first taught the Africans the Druid path was none other than Druidia herself. This time while she was incarnated in another human form. Today, that incarnation is remembered as Yamaya, known as a goddess in both African and South American spirituality. Yamaya is by no coincidence considered to be united with Mother Mary in these religions, as they were the same person. Druidia has always taken an interest in the Druid spirituality. When Bridget was the head of the Druid order in pre-Christian Ireland, Druidia was her guide. Druidia has always guided the heads of the Druid order throughout our history. And that is why the name Isis is still to this day connected to the Druidic faith. The Druids have never really left the earth, and the Druid way has recently seen a huge revival. Druidia says that this new version of the path is quite accurate to the original teachings. She also says that Druidism is not meant to be a religion. It is only meant to be a spirituality.
It is I, Druidia, the prime creator of the Druid spiritual path. I am happy to have an opportunity to speak to all of you after all this time. You know me by many other names. In this now, I prefer the name Druidia for my role as the first Druid. My second role as a Druid Master was in the lifetime of Yamaya, where I was a Druid in the continent of Africa, and I taught the Druid path to the African people. The Druid path is very simple. Connect with the earth. That is all. Nobody owns the Druid path. It belongs to all mankind. The Druid path is one of balance with all of the earth, whether it is plant, animal, or mineral. This is the true path of the Druid, as I laid it out for all of you to follow so long ago. It brings me great joy to see that this path is still being followed today. I will be there to help you walk it. You have only to call my name, and I may hear you. My name is Druidia.
Druidia continued to work with her students after her passing, in different ways. I was still able to hear her speaking to me telepathically, and continued to learn from her and share her teachings after she passed. She watched over her original students closely, all the ones who knew her, although few understood who she really was. I did not understand who she really was either. She has watched over the Druids ever since. Earth is the body of Gaia. Earth emits vibration. Dirt also carries Gaia's vibration, which is why it can heal. When you stand upon the earth barefoot, or put your hands upon it, you feel the vibrations of Gaia within you. It is good to do this once a day or more. When you align with those vibrations, then you are vibrating with Gaia's frequency, and that means you are now a Druid. Water is Gaia's frequency. Water conducts frequency. Water is Gaia's blood. When something moves through the water, it disrupts the frequency, which is why there are waves rippling outwards. Whales and dolphins are masters of frequency. So are merfolk and all aquatic beings. And their role is to keep it pure and vibrating at full capacity. Pollution of water leads to disruption in Gaia's frequency. Right now, the frequency of Gaia is much disrupted and corrupted. Fire is destruction, regeneration, and change. Fire is a cleansing element. It brings the sacred fire of growth to all things. Fire can also be used for transfiguration, transmutation, and activation. Inner fire can be channeled and used for healings or activations. The Druids taught about 7 different types of fires that could be used for that purpose. Gold, white, yellow, violet, blue, pink, and green. These are often called the 7 sacred flames. Air connects all of us within its vibration. Air is not invisible, but is merely out of our range of vision. It carries many things upon its vibration: thoughts, feelings, and moisture. To give a more specific explanation of what it means to be a druid, I have a story to share. During the many conversations that led to this film, I have been encouraged to reconnect with my druid self. During the conversation I was having with Druidia about how the earth emits vibration, I took off my shoes and put my feet on the earth to experience it myself. After a time, I felt waves of circular energy coursing through my body that appeared to be coming directly from the earth. I could feel it pulsing through me. I felt calm and at peace, but at the same time very alert and aware of movement, like people walking or birds in the sky. After that happened, Druidia suddenly asked me how I felt about being a druid again. I asked what she meant, and she said I had achieved it right there, when I felt the pulsing of Gaia within me. She said this was the primary test for being a druid. If you can feel the vibrations of Gaia, then you are a druid. The Earth's vibration is Gaia's vibration. Gaia's vibration was very low when the events of this film took place, back around 2800 BC. Her vibration has been steadily rising ever since. It is now rising very rapidly. One of the most important roles of the Druid is to help people to raise their vibrations. This has always been a part of the Druid teachings. Gaia is requesting that everyone steps in to help with the ascension of the earth by raising our vibrations. Our help is required in this for the ascension to take place.